Oh my god, I have not seen y'all. Oh my gosh, it has been a hot minute. And I know I say that at the beginning of every video, but like this is true. I literally looked at my like the last videos that I did, and the last video that was like an update vlog I did was a month ago, and that was crazy. That's crazy. I cannot believe it's been so long. Hi, how are you? How are you doing? How are you feeling? I hope you're doing good. I hope you're feeling well. I hope the month of, because currently, at the time I'm recording this, it is November 23rd. Oh, come through, lucky number. Come through, lucky number. It is November 23rd. And the last video I did, I think, was in October sometime. It would have to be. And so much has happened since the last video, spiritually, right? But at the same time that I say so much has happened spiritually, sometimes I feel like in the physical, not a whole lot is happening. And I don't know if you can relate with that, but that's kind of the vibe that we're on. I would wear my glasses today, but I've been avoiding, and I know this is not good, but I've been avoiding wearing them when I'm not at work and or driving. 1 minute and 23 seconds as I say that. So somebody, somebody watching this is avoiding wearing their glasses because I've been getting this dark spot here from the glasses, and I was like, I don't know what that is, and I want that to go away. So I don't know what to do. I don't know if it's permanent. If it's permanent, you know, the fuck, I don't care. But I mean, I do care because I'm not wearing my glasses right now. So, anywho, I have some tea this morning. This is, what is this? I prepped my tea in the dark. It's English tea time. So it's still very hot. So we're gonna put that right there. Can I put something up under this? Because I don't want it to crack the... Oh no, it's not hot on the bottom. It's fine. So, let's get into it. I've been saying for weeks that I needed to do an update vlog video, and I just haven't done it. For no other reason other than I just haven't done it. Do I want to wear bracelets while I do this? Wear a couple of little bracelets. Wear some stuff that jingle jangles. I have so many like volcanic rock bracelets. It's hilarious. And I also have a new bracelet that I got. Before we get into it, let me show you. I love doing unboxings, and I love sharing things with y'all. I got this. It's a necklace and not a necklace. It's a bracelet and then some earrings. Isn't that pretty? I wear those sometimes. I could wear them right now, actually. I'm gonna change into these. But let's go ahead and start chatting about what's been up. So, the last time I did a video, I talked about how spirit was essentially communicating to me that it was time for me to stop planning. And for me, the reason I was told this, I found out later, is because I have a tendency to use planning and goal setting and anything that is very end result like. That's cute. I have a habit of attempting to control things through that. So the planning isn't just, oh, I want to be aware that, you know, there's something I maybe said that I would do that somebody asked me to do, or hey, like, you know, I need to go to the store and grab, you know, deodorant or toiletries or whatever. Like, it's not just that. For me, the whole reason I was planning and goal setting was to try and control the world outside of myself. I was trying to control all of the uncontrollable things. And so, I like this. This is cute. And so, because that's what I was trying to do, it became very clear to me that that's why Spirit was on the vibe of, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. Because you are, every time I would lock in to a plan, that was my way of telling Spirit, I don't trust the process. I don't trust what's happening. I don't trust that you're going to come through for me. And really, when I say you, and when I say the universe, and when I say spirit, I personally, my own personal belief, I am speaking about the energy that moves into form, through form, and out of form. I'm talking about that all encompassing energy that connects everybody, the energy that allows you to kind of know how a person's feeling and you haven't spoken to them in a while, that energy that allows you to that energy that you connect with when you're sitting and you're meditating and you're peaceful and you're feeling good, that kind of synergy and feel good energy that happens when you get together with a bunch of other people, the life force that is in the trees, that is in the birds, that's in everything. For me, I was very obsessed with episode 4 of Star Wars. I believe it's episode 4 because they're swapped, but the first movie where Luke Skywalker is learning his whole journey. I was obsessed with that episode. It was my dad's favorite. Those were my bad. It was my dad's favorite group, or my favorite movie out of the movies. That was his favorite movie out of the movies. And so growing up, I constantly was listening to and kind of repeating what Yoda would say, like, there is no try. Like, there's just do or do not. Either you're going to do something or you don't do something. You're not going to try to do it. You just do it or you don't. And then when Luke Skywalker, and I guess these are spoilers, but this movie has been out forever. So do not come for me in the comments also, you spoiled shit. Another thing that Yoda said that always stuck with me when he lifts Luke's spaceship out of the water. And Luke is like, I don't believe it. He's all out of breath and he's like, whoa, this is fucking crazy, bruh. And Yoda's like, and that's why you fail. You fail repeatedly. Get roasted because you don't believe. You don't have faith. And then, Star Wars' whole thing is, rebellions are built on hope and the hope that good will outweigh the evil and yada, yada, yada. We have all of that. We all know what the deal is with those movies. But why did I go off on that tangent about Star Wars? Was there a line from the movie that I was going to quote that I completely forgot about? No, there we go. I was talking about, so when Yoda explains what the Force is in everything. And that's personally what I believe spirit, God, the universe, I believe that that's what that is. It's in me already. It's there. And for me, my journey has mostly been about reconnecting with that and taking the kind of ego portion of my mind out of the way. Not out of the way completely, because I believe that there are things that the ego does help with personally. But I believe that when we were kids, we already knew the best way to live well. And as we got older, people who had baggage, had unhealed trauma, people who allowed their unhealed trauma and their toxic ways to run their lives, those types of people are the people who we grew up watching on TV, we see in the media, family members, friends of our family, cousins, people in the neighborhood. All of the worries and concerns and the lack and the self-doubt is what a lot of people tend to pick up as they're aging, as we grow up. So we go from believing we can do anything. We go from a place of natural curiosity where the goal is I can make friends with anybody. As a kid, when I would go to the playgrounds, I was making friends with everybody. It's only when I became a teenager that I started this whole, well, that person looks weird, or that person's not playing the way I want them to play. That all happened in teenage years when I started growing and becoming an adult. But as a kid, I was just there. I was naturally locked in when I was, a little bit. Well, a little, when I was littler, because I don't think I'm little, but other people think I'm little. But, so, that is what I believe the energy and the force is. And like I said here on my channel, and just in life in general, I don't knock any of the spiritual or religious beliefs of other people. I haven't studied it, so that's not my business. That's just how I feel. And there's so much that can be studied. There are theologians. There are people who literally spend years going to school to study this shit. So I'm not gonna be over here trying to tell anybody what to think or what to believe, especially in the spiritual area, because there's just so much information out there. But that energy, to me, that is what intuition actually is what I believe. I believe that our intuition is actually our higher selves. It's the version of us that doesn't have the ego. It doesn't have these hangups that we have here in this physical body. And that portion of me is the portion that I speak to most frequently. I do talk to myself. I know I be looking crazy. Sometimes I don't, because I'll put my earbuds in and I have my phone out and I be like, exactly, because this bitch said, and that's how that's how I talk to spirit a lot of the time. I'll be like, I cannot believe this bitch did this to me, and spirit's like, so what makes her a bitch? And I'm like, you already know. You were there. You saw. But I don't, I don't know. It's just fun. My ears are popping. So, um, yeah. So that's the portion of me that I connect with, and I guess that's, I guess, kind of a something for anybody who's new here, who's coming in. I've been doing, not consistently, but I've been doing like vlog type videos for, I think, about a year now, somewhere in there, where I just kind of get on here and I talk to you and I share my journey. And if you're feeling alone, you're not alone. You're not by yourself. I have a little community here. It's very small, but still good. It's still good. There's a little community here of people who like to support people. We like to love on people. We like to make jokes. We like to be silly. Potty humor is a big thing here. We love this. I have not been streaming on Twitch a whole lot, but I've had the ability to. This past couple of weeks, I've streamed twice and thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm always surprised when people pop up in there because I don't expect people to. I don't stream consistently like I used to. And I saw that I lost, or not lost, but I saw that like 5 of the followers that I had peaced out, and I was like, man, my thing is when people come, you're here maybe for a good time, not a long time. And I'm okay with that. But then after my first stream back, 12 minutes and 12 seconds as I say this, and I hadn't been on for a while, I gained like 2 of those, or not 2 of those people, it was 2 new people who came in. And I was like, okay, so it's kind of that thing where it's like when you're in a certain place in your life and you are friends with people, or you're in a community and you're sharing things, sometimes it's just for that period of time. So sometimes it's just a season. Sometimes some people, some communities, some stuff is not meant to be here forever. We want it to be because it feels good, it's fun, it's, kind of saved us from not feeling great. But then those things kind of move on. And I think it's our job, I think it's my job, to not try to hold on to those things so aggressively. Because I feel like when you hold on to something really aggressively, again, what you're communicating to that higher version of yourself is that there is lack, because you're holding on to it so hard. If you know there's more than enough, then you're not going to be holding on to everything so hard. You're going to let things go. You're going to let things flow. All right, I think my tea is cool enough, so hopefully I don't burn my tongue, because that shit is the worst. I think somebody in the apartment is awake. I should be good though. Hopefully nobody comes in here. I swear, it can be very difficult to find a private moment when you live with other people. You're like, please don't. That's very good. That's just tea with no sugar, no cream. I find that sugar and cream just kind of like sits sometimes. It's not as good. Anywho, what were we talking about? What was I saying? What was I yapping about? So basically, essentially, the whole planning thing for me was to go away for that reason. And I found it difficult to do in daily life. And then it started to get easier because I realized the only thing I need to know is what's happening today. And if somebody says, hey, do you want to go to this person next week? I tell them, well, yeah, currently, tentatively, I'll say yes. If somebody's like, I need to know exactly for sure, I tell them I can't give you a for sure. So because I can't give you a for sure, you can go ahead and count me out. Or If you want to add me, you can, but I cannot guarantee it. And I hated that at first because I always like to be able to say what I'm going to do when I'm going to do it. But shockingly, I have not had any situations where me not planning has, over the past month, has been a problem. In fact, every time I've tried to plan, shit hits the fan. So when I tell you, if you are listening to your intuition and you are locked into self, you're locked into that energy, you're going to be surprised at how many things change in order to help you be more at peace. It may take time. It may take time because everything takes a little bit of time. You know, things don't happen overnight, but you will be shocked at how things like start changing. I was doing the no planning thing here in my kind of regular life, and then at my gig, or as I like to call it, at my little gigatron, one of the things that I do, or that I did when I first started seeing the patients that I see at my, my little healthcare thing, is that I see patients. And I see patients currently twice a week. And so when I come in on Monday, I prep all of my documents and I kind of plan out how I'm going to go in the visit, So I have my little consultation sheet that I made and I write down, the person's name and all their information. And then I have, notes that I want, blah, blah, blah. I essentially just prep for everything. And I would do that on Mondays. And then at the end of the week, I would do it on Friday to pre-prep for Monday's prep. Yeah. I was that person. I was gonna be prepped 16 minutes and 23 seconds as I say that. I was gonna be prepped to hell. You was not gonna shock me or surprise me. And over the course of 2 weeks, I found that prep didn't mean shit because the patients that I was gonna see, their appointments would be canceled because they didn't have insurance that they needed or something like that. Or I would have 2 or 3 more people put on there. And so I was like, well, I'm stressed anyways, even though I'm trying to plan. And I heard that little voice and it said, stop planning. Stop. Tato, Yasha, baby girl, stop all that. You do not have to plan. We've got you. I was like, okay. Whatever y'all say, whatever, when you become like aggressively compliant, when you get irritated with what spirit is saying and you're like, you've been saying the same shit to me for months and I'm not seeing no changes. So you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to dedicate and I'm just going to go in here. And you just get really like aggressive about the whole scenario. That's what happened. That's what I did. But it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like, I got aggressive and I showed spirit what for. Bruh. That's not what happened. What happened was everything got easier. I stopped planning. I literally would go and I would look and I would say, okay, so these are the patients I'm likely to have. What do they need? What am I seeing them for? And I would just have their stuff, but I stopped planning the process and the visit. Because I found when I was trying to plan the visit, in kind of the same way that I've always been very nervous getting on the phone. So I don't know if you ever do this, but I would write down what I was going to say or like the talking points of making a call, even if it was for like ordering food or asking a question, because I would get so anxious when the person would be like, hi, how can I help you? And I'd be like, so English is very, very hard. And I would just forget everything that I was going to say. So I would write it down. And so that's what I was doing for my appointments with my patients. And I decided to stop doing that. When I tell you that I didn't realize how mentally far away I was during the patient visits, because I was so focused on trying to stick to the plan that I'd created, I wasn't connecting with the patients in the appointment. The first day I did it, I was like, so we're not going to speed through anything. We're not going to move fast, because I've had patients ask me, like, do you know what you're doing? Because I look very young to people, apparently. So people be like, you look like you just got out of high school. And I'm like, no, the fuck I don't. No, I do not. You do not have to lie. But I've had patients ask me, do you know what you're doing? Are you sure you know what you're doing? And that type of stuff stresses me because I haven't been doing this very long. So yes and no. Yes, because I know what I've been trained to do. I don't know this whole thing like the back of my hand. That takes like years of working in something long enough. So But I had one situation where I was getting super nervous, everything, and then after the patient left, there was a bunch of stuff that was missing, and I was like, I cannot believe I fucked this up so royally, and I had to call in like an expert, somebody who really knew what they were doing, and they were like, you didn't mess up that bad. Like, here, let me help you. Everything was fine. Patient was fine. Everything was good. So then I had a visit. It was the first day that I was like, we're not going to do any planning. It was my first day that I see patients. And I got in to the little Gigatron, my little Gigi. And I moved slowly. I was deep breathing. I was aware as my feet were hitting the ground as I was crossing the street to go into my building. I was aware when I came in and I said good morning, who I was saying good morning to, 20 minutes and 23 seconds as I say this. I was in it. That was one of the first mornings that I asked my coworker who sits next to me, I was like, how are you feeling? How did you sleep? She turned around and looked at me and she was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't sleep at all, blah, blah, blah. I'm not feeling too good. I really wish I had like a coffee and some cookies. And I was like, I got you. I'll go get you some. And she was like, for real? I was like, yes. I get here early so that I can move at the pace I want to move at. I don't rush. I'm not rushing no more. Have you ever heard the story of the tortoise and the hare? The tortoise be outliving everybody. I'm trying to be that nigga. That's what I'm trying to do. So, went and got her cookies and coffee. Came back. 9:23 a.m. on the clock as I'm saying this. And it's the 23rd. It's not the 23th today. So pay attention. I come back. I pull out my little folder so I can, I open up the secure web thing online and I go and I look at the patients I have for the day. I saw my first patient was going to be coming in roughly in like 30-ish minutes. So I hardly did any prepping for that appointment. And as I hardly was doing it, I was getting a little anxious because I was like, oh my God, what am I going to say to this person? I'm not doing anything of the stuff that I've rehearsed. I'm not bringing in my little cheat sheet that I wrote up. The person came in and told me, your patient's here. I go. I bring them back. And I close the door to the room. And I was like, how are you feeling today? Like I want to know. Like, I really want to know. How are you doing? And he was like, I am so at peace. And this man starts telling me about his daughter and how she's not feeling well. And he loves her and he's glad that she's back home. She's into sports. He starts telling me about how much he loved his family. And I'm listening to him while I'm prepping his paperwork and getting everything ready. And as I was like measuring him for compression garments, because that's what I do, for people who have lipedema and lymphedema, I have like a tape measure and other various tools that I use, and I measure people and I order them, or I will give them, based on inventory that I have, garments for their compression, so that any swelling in the skin that they have can be contained, and in some cases it can be, kind of really bad swelling can be like decreased. It's a very interesting field of work I didn't even know existed 6 months ago, if I'm being honest with you. And so as I'm measuring him, he's telling me about how much he loves his family, and he's showing me pictures, and we're laughing and we're cackling. Mind you, I have 75 minutes for all of my appointments, and I've been stressed in that's an hour and 15 minutes. I've been stressed in every appointment I was in before this that I attempted to plan for. 23 minutes on the timer as I'm talking about this topic. And this was the first time I wasn't looking at the clock. I wasn't tracking. I was just engaging with this person. And so we got done. I told him what we had. We ended up not having what he needed, and he needed some other stuff. He needed to go to a separate location. But he was like, I hope you have the most blessed day, because this was amazing. This was incredible to come in and expect to only get stuff done, for my physical body, but to have such a really great conversation. Like, it really helped my soul. And he left, and I closed the door, and I washed my hands because I do so after every patient, and I cried. And I cried because it was such a great, fulfilling moment to experience with another human being, and all it took was me not planning and me slowing down and being with him in the moment. Every appointment that I have had has not been as great as that. I've had appointments where patients have been mad about things that I cannot fix, like their insurance, unfortunately, but I get it. I'd be mad too. Healthcare in the US of A, ass booty cheeks. We gonna call it what it is. But even in those appointments, because I'm calm and I'm moving slow, I'm not anxious. Because my thing is, it's either gonna be okay or it's not. If it's gonna be okay, it doesn't make sense for me to stress the whole time. If it's not gonna be okay, then stressing doesn't help. I should just be free in mind to be able to figure out what I need to do in the moment that things are not okay. That's how I see it, anyways. So after that, even appointments where things were not going well, they still went well for me because I was at peace. And I was much more able, and I've been much more able to recommend alternative things for people when their insurance doesn't cover what they need. Now that does hurt my heart. That's one thing that I hate seeing. I hate being on the provider end of healthcare and seeing all of the background of all of the bureaucratic crapola that goes into health insurance. I hate it. Because I don't think it should be that complicated. Getting people what they need should be the priority. So that does irritate me a lot, and it irritates a lot of people I work with. So for those of you who go and you see healthcare professionals, I'm not saying everybody feels and thinks this way, but a good chunk of us do not agree with how the system works. We're doing what we can because we want to help people. Some of us, not everybody. And it can be a little sad when you're like, bro, just give them what they need. I'm looking at this person. I'm looking at their track record. They're a great candidate for this thing. They need the help. This was something that was like primary. There was no planning. There was no trying to stop this. There was nothing they could do. This happened. There's nothing they can do. You should want to help them. And that's a whole different video. But the no planning and the moving slowly, and really, if anybody were to ask me, well, when you say moving slowly, what do you mean? What I really mean is moving with intent. That's what I mean. Half of the time, if you think about it, when we're rushing, you're not moving with intent. You're just trying to get done as fast as possible. But it is possible to move swiftly with intent where you're not rushing, where everything that you're doing, you're very purposeful about. And that's not a problem. Moving swiftly is not a problem. The rushing is the problem. The speeding through is the problem. I don't know about other people, but for me, I only rush and I'm doing things fast when I'm stressed or I'm kind of in a flow state. Kind of like how in anime when they're like, oh my god, he's incredible, he's entered the zone. Like, that happens to me sometimes where, and I've been seeing this on TikTok, where it's like when I'm doing this, and this back to back and I enter a flow state, that's kind of how it feels for me in some cases. And that's really what I want to move towards. I want to move towards I'm doing something and it's feeling good, and then the speed comes from that. It doesn't come from rushing. It doesn't come from stress. So we had that. So that was a whole little thing for me, the whole not rushing stuff. Since the last video, what else have I come to the understanding of? Oh, this was incredibly interesting to me. So I'm a researcher. I like to study certain things. Certain things is the caveat there. And one of the things that recently I came upon was I wanted to know, typically for me, how long does it take from when I am stating something in the physical and I say, I want this thing, how long does that manifestation actually take to hit? Because years ago, when I first started looking into like manifestation work, one of the things that I heard is that the situation that you are in right now is not the result of what you think right now. The situation that you're in right now is actually the residual of past thoughts and actions. So you're constantly living in this, this is the result of what you were doing or thinking before. And of course, for a lot of us, that shit sucks. When we reflect, we're like, damn, I was really on some bullshit. But that's why you start today. You do what you can today so that as you're moving, you know, you're getting it, right? So I was like, I wonder how long it takes. So I don't have many of my journals here with me. so many of them I had to get rid of in various moves that I've had to make, up and down the East Coast. I realized that I've been living up and down the East Coast for years. I started in, like, the mid South, and then moved down to the sort of lower South, and now I'm in Florida, the like very low South, and then I've lived up north, and I've loved living up north. We've talked about this. So, what was I saying? Yes, so the manifestations. I was like, I wonder how long it takes for when you say something to when it manifests, how long it takes. Because I remembered, I was watching this video where people were reporting. It was a video called The Secret. And it was my first kind of introduction. I was like 16, 15 years old. And I think it was Rhonda Byrne who kind of developed the movie, like The Secret. That was a whole big movement that if you don't know about, bro, it was kind of giving cult back in the day. And it might still give cult now. I don't know. I don't keep up with the people in that in that field. But one of the things that a lot of people who had their testimonials were saying is that from this time to this time, it took 6 months. And I was like, does it actually take 6 months? Like, that kind of feels like it makes sense a little bit to me. And so I went back and I went to my Facebook and I looked at things that I wanted at certain times in my life because I had made posts about it. And I looked at the date that I made those posts. And I was like, did I get this thing? If I didn't get this thing, we don't have to think about it. But if I did get it, how long did it take? And some of the biggest things that I've wanted in my life took anywhere from 2 to 6 months to manifest. And I was like, okay, so what's the difference between, this is what happens when you're a person who's like, nah, I'm tired of the way I'm fucking living. I want to be better. I want to feel better. And so you really get into it. This is one of the reasons, side note, this is one of the reasons I find it so interesting that people have all of this time to be in everybody's business. Because being in your own business is a full-time job. Well, I don't have a lot of business. You're not really into your own shit, bro. Because when you are and you're trying to get things done, you're trying to focus on connecting with self, that is a full-time job. You do not have time to be on some fuck shit. So maybe some people are multitaskers. Maybe they have more time than they're letting the rest of us know. I don't know. But so I started going back and I started looking. The biggest things that I asked for that were milestones in my life that I have received 2 to 6 months without fail. And then I thought about it. Okay, so there's this other big stuff that I asked for. Why has that not happened? And then I had to be honest with myself. I had to be authentic with me, with Yasha. I had to be honest about the fact that there are certain things that I felt were easier to manifest than others. So, of course it happened, because I believed it could. But then the other stuff that didn't happen, I had to be honest and say, I didn't really believe that could happen. Ever. Not, oh, I didn't think it could happen in the time period I was allowing. No, I didn't believe it was going to happen at all. I was definitely on something that is not realistic. That's crazy. Girl, you crazy. What do you mean temporarily, bitch? You lie forever. Side note for the gamers, I've been watching, I've just finished episode 8 of Dispatch, the game. So good. So good. So I started looking at the things that I asked for and being like, okay, so those things haven't happened in like a 6-month time period. What have I been doing? And it's not the doubt of, is this going to happen, that causes a problem. I actually think it is healthy for us to question when we are doing things or when we are experiencing things, when we're manifesting. I think it is healthy to look at it and be like, is this something that I actually want? Like, is this something that could actually happen? I don't find a problem with that. When I doubt, however, my doubt is, no, this isn't going to happen. This is ridiculous. It's too big a thing. So then that stands perfectly in the way of any manifestation work that you're attempting to do. Any of it. Because I don't know if you know this, but a lot of people know this. And they talk about it. And it's that the energy of doubt and fear and anxiety is something that a lot of us are far more familiar with and we have far more experience with. And those emotions are incredibly powerful. They're very powerful. It is a lot harder for a lot of us to sit in a positive place. Like, for the majority of people that I've met, I went to an art gallery this yesterday, the day before, with my sister. And the lady who was walking us around and she was talking about the art, she was showing us all these beautiful pieces of art. And my sister was like, "You have such a great energy, you have such a great vibe." And she was like, "I think joy is a choice. I think it's a choice to be happy and joyful every day." And my sister and I agreed that we do think it's a choice. And it's interesting that she was talking about how hard it is to be happy, but it's possible. And I think that's why a lot of our manifestation work gets interrupted and why we have the doubts we do, because it's so easy to be pessimistic. It's so easy to doubt. It's so easy to be like, nothing's gonna work, everything's gonna go to shit. Like, it's easy to be in that headspace. It's not easy in a world where you're looking at what's happening in politics, what's happening in the economy, what's happening in Hollywood, what's happening in medicine or engineering or like space exploration. It's easy to look at stuff and to see the negative and be like, well, throw in the towel, it's all going to shit. It's so easy. And in fact, people who don't like you, people who don't want you to win and succeed, want you to throw in the towel. They want you to believe that nothing is possible. They want you to stay exactly where you're at, in a place of negativity where you're worried and you're anxious the whole time. They want that because it allows them to feel better about themselves. That's what they want. Don't let them win. Give them the big fuck you. And believe. And be happy. And be joyous. And be giddy. Do that shit for you. Fuck them. Let me find it. What were we talking about? Yes, so the manifestation work. I looked and I found that without doubting, 2 to 6 months, and I would have the things that I was asking for. So, when I looked and I saw that stuff I had been asking for hadn't happened within that time period, and I had to realize that there were days where I was like, well, I don't really believe this is going to happen, so let me just, focus on trying to manifest what is easy. So, an example. When I said, I want to be paid and pampered to play, for those of you who've been watching me for a long time, you remember I was on that. I was like, I want to be paid and pampered to play. So essentially playing video games, having fun, traveling. I don't want to have to work. I don't have a job. I want to be able to volunteer and go and do stuff. And then if I feel like I'm tired and I don't want to do this anymore, I can leave. I don't have a problem with working. I don't have a problem with doing things. The problem I have is the fact that I have to be there for a certain amount of time to make a certain amount of money. I would just like to be able to just go do stuff when I feel like doing it. If I wake up at 7 and I want to go in, spend a couple hours helping out in healthcare or wherever, or building a home or whatever have you, or streaming, I want to be able to do that. And then when I'm tired, I want to be able to stop. When I'm bored with it, I want to be able to stop. I don't want to be tied to this roller coaster where I gotta stay. I gotta be locked in. I don't want to do that. And some people might be like, that's really immature of you. Do I give a fuck? No. I do not care, because that's genuinely what I want. So, that's what I was saying. Because I was nervous about this, okay? I was nervous about this idea. I didn't see how it was going to happen. I was getting a little bit of support on my Twitch channel where I was being sent some money, but it wasn't enough for the threshold for Twitch. So if you are streaming on the platform Twitch and you are being paid and you are affiliate, you have to reach a $50 minimum of being paid, $50, before they will allow you to take that out and use it. So I was getting paid a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there. I was very grateful. I was very emotional. But then at the end of the day, I was like, this is not enough. This is not enough. And I don't have it in me to sit around and hope that this gets better. You know? And I thought, well, I've got to work harder. But at that point, Spirit was like, no, you're not supposed to be working harder. What are you doing? Stop. No. And so, because I was worried and concerned, I was like, I need to have a job. And I believed I could get one. So then one came through the pipeline. And currently, what I'm doing is what was given to me. I had about a year and a half where I couldn't find anything. And when I looked back on my daily spiritual meditative work, it's because I didn't believe. I was stressed the whole time. And it didn't help that the people around me, not everybody obviously, but there were people around me who constantly reminded me that I was not doing what everybody else was doing. Well, you need to be applying to more jobs. You're not out here. You're not doing X, Y, and Z. And when you're around people who you are close to, who they do not believe in the magical woo shit, they're not a part, like they don't do the whole spiritual thing, or they do it very, oh, this, kind of helps if you're doing yoga, but as far as like real life, this isn't how you live real life. If you have anybody like that around you who you love and you trust, it is so difficult to lock in to doing what your soul knows is going to work for you. It's so difficult. And those people are always going to look at you crazy until your shit blows up. And then it's always going to be, oh, I believed that you had it. I was right there. No, you weren't. You were just as worried and stressed as I was. And you were telling me that I needed to do the very thing that everybody else is doing until this worked. Because other people aren't going to see the vision. You know this. You know most people are not going to see your vision. So when I came to that realization a couple days ago, that the reason I currently have the employment that I have, that I'm grateful for, is because I believed money will come to me through that. Money's not going to come to me not doing anything. That's impossible, even though there are people who that is their reality. There's a lot of people. That's their reality. They are living these peaceful, happy lives, and income is in their accounts. And so I was like, okay, so we're going to go back to the drawing board and we're going to lock in. And something that has definitely been a detriment to me is that the way my brain be working sometimes is I have a tendency to obsess over things. So when I say I want something and I really want it, I obsess over it, like day and night. I fantasize about how it's going to work out. I'm visualizing how it's going to work out. Then the problem is, the more I think about it, the more I start to be concerned that it's not going to happen and that I'm crazy. And so, as I was meditating one day, I was talking to my inner child and my inner teenager. We came to the conclusion that we have to set it and forget it, because this is how all of my manifestations have actually worked. Anytime that I'm obsessing over something enough to where I can start doubting it and saying, no, this is crazy, the more I think about it, the less logical it is. That shit does not happen. It's never happened for me. Nothing. Anything in that list, it hasn't happened. But if I say, you know what would be really cool? This thing. Anyways, and then I obsess over other stuff, and in that 7 seconds of thinking, I like playing with these little banana clips and I like putting them on my fingers. I don't know if y'all ever do that. You know, when you have it, it's like yeah. I hope that didn't freak anybody out. It's not painful. Like, my fingers are so small, they can fit in it. Let me take a drink of tea. Yes, so anything that I've been like, oh, this would be really cool, or you know, it would be fun, or you know, it would be hilarious, and then I move on to something else, that shit actually happens. So I was at a hospital, the dialysis center, with my father, who, by the by, has a donor for his kidney. For those of you who've been kind of following my journey, my dad has found out he had kidney disease, and I was trying to do energy healing on him, and that stuff, the energy healing, I was like, this isn't working, blah, 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 and I didn't know what was going on, and I was like, what's happening? And the functioning of his kidney was going down, 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 and they were like, well, we need to get you on a kidney donor list. Some people have been on kidney donor lists for years and years and years. We were the week that I was training to help him with his dialysis. Because, long story short, for those of you that don't know, if you are on dialysis, you can do at-home dialysis sometimes, depending upon your situation. And it's like it's a little machine, and you've got to do all this stuff. So my mom and I went with my dad, and we all trained on how to use it properly, so that he wouldn't get an infection or anything. During that week, and I did not want to go to those training classes. I didn't want to go. But during that week, there were two statements that I made, and I threw it off casually. One was, Dad, this is hilarious that we're taking all this time to learn how to do this. Watch us do this, and then in less than 6 months, you have a donor. You have a kidney match. Everybody in the room laughed, including me. The nurse was like, that would be really funny. That would be funny. I was like, that would be hilarious. Like, I would literally be head thrown back. I would be cackling. And then I also made the statement, I love training on these machines. I would love to be in a hospital feeling like a nurse. It'd be so cool to be in my little scrub pants with my little badge and I could clock in. That would be cute. I would love to do that. Two statements that I made. And that was in June. I looked at the dates. I made the statements. They are recorded. There are timestamps. June, July, August, September, October, September. In 4 months, I was offered a gig where I'm required to wear scrubs, where I have a little badge where I sign in, and where I see patients. Had no clinical experience before this, and have a job where I see patients. 4 months, I got the offer, and within 6 months, the visual that I had sitting in that room of me walking down a hallway in some scrubs is the same visual I have every morning. I walk through the hospital. I pass nurses. I pass doctors. I pass surgeons every day. And that is what I said I wanted to do as a jokey joke 6 months ago. Because we're in November. A couple months ago, I came home from being out, having a good time. And my mom tells me, we got a match. There is a kidney donor for your dad. And I was like, what? It hasn't even been... And she looked at me, she said, it hasn't even been 6 months. Now, am I saying that all of this shit happened because I spoke it into existence? I would love to say that. I would love to take credit for all of that. Like, everybody, bow down, bow down. I would love to take credit for it. But what I think actually happened was I was locked in. I think I was just locked in to what was going to happen. Maybe. I don't know. But it's crazy that those are the two statements that I made. And that's what happened. And so I was like, oh, so essentially what I have to do is I have to just start making throwaway statements, thinking about how cool it is, doing a little fantasy here, doing a little fantasy there, a little cheeky fantasy. But then I have to stop thinking about it and I have to focus on other stuff. Because if I think about it too long, the doubt comes in and my logical brain goes, this is not possible. So that is what I learned 2 or 3 days ago. There was another situation where I was working alongside someone and I was like, man, I actually really like the gig that I'm working. I literally said to 2 people, they can quote me. I texted them and I said, I really like what I'm doing. I think the only thing would be is if this person was not there every day. Not mad, not irritated. I just think that this person just be sucking the energy out the room. So if they weren't there, they were somewhere else, that'd be great. And I was told in a staff meeting that the department that person is in is moving across town. Less than a month from when I made that statement. I had no idea. And they were like, yeah, so we weren't gonna move for a long time, and now we're moving. And I was like, that's wild. And Spirit looked at me and was like, hey, Hey, so you see? So you see? Can you stop being dumb? Could you lock in, please? Because that's how my spiritual team be talking to me. They're so like 49 minutes and 23 seconds as I say that. My team is so like you be irritating us because you be doing silly dumb shit, but we love you. Like that's the vibe that I always feel. I always feel loved and supported. But I do be feeling like they be hitting me with the oh my god, this bitch. Like listen, y'all, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, I say all of that to say that today actually I am stating right now, and I'm gonna make a calendar. Ooh, I have to say this. I have to say this. So, something that I realized is that because I am like, I have a really hard time with, like my days run together. Like literally for the job, for the gig that I am working, I look at calendars every day because I also schedule people for like follow-up visits and things like that. And my days run together. But every 3 days, something I noticed, and this may be something you struggle with. I noticed that every 3 days, if I wasn't getting like synchronicities, confirmations, if I wasn't getting some type of spiritual download, if I wasn't channeling, if I wasn't feeling magical, if I wasn't feeling those feelings of being locked in, like the kind of warm and the fuzzies and, you know, the pressure with the third eye and all this other stuff that I physically experience when I feel like I am locked in, if I wasn't experiencing that, I would assume that I was doing something wrong. And I would start freaking out about everything and I would start doubting. My sister looks at me one night. This is why it is so good to lock in with other people who you can trust, who will tell you when you are being ridiculous on your spiritual journey. Not ridiculous as in what you're asking for is ridiculous, not limiting beliefs, but telling you, why are you doubting? What's going on? What's going on with you? This is why I do believe that it's so good. Like if you're a person who like goes to church, have a one-on-one relationship with your spiritual mentors. Talk to them frequently. Talk to them frequently because you want to have somebody who, when you just are not there at the belief level, they're there to help you. They're there to support you. That's what community is for. And my sister told me, I was complaining about something, and I was like, I just don't see how this is gonna happen, and all this stuff is happening. And she goes, so like 3 or 4 days ago, you had like an epiphany about your life that made everything simple and you were doing it for 2 days. What happened? And I was like, what? That was like 2 weeks ago. Everything's taking too long. That was like a month ago. I'm telling you, my sense of time is fucked. And I don't know if any of you are dealing with this. But she was like, no, this happens all the time. We're literally 3 days after you have a realization, you're bitching and moaning about the fact that things aren't happening fast enough. It was less than 72 hours. And I was like, no, it's not possible. I can't be that ridiculous. I can't be that stupid. That can't be me. So, what I started doing is I started creating calendar events. I would go into my phone and I'd pull up the calendar. And when I have a spiritual realization, I will title it in all caps, spirit or spiritual. And then in like the title of the event, I give like the sum up very quick, 52 minutes and 53 seconds as I was saying that. Not sure why that number is significant. But I would sum it up, and then in the description, I would list everything, almost like a journal entry for like a meditation or something. And so anytime that I've been sitting there bored, I've looked back through the calendar and I have had synchronicities and crazy shit that shouldn't be happening happen every 2 or 3 days. And I was like, has this always been the case? And I just wasn't paying attention. Like I just wasn't aware. I don't know. But every time I'm sitting there and I start thinking, man, is this shit gonna pop off the way I want it to? Am I gonna really pop my spiritual shit right now? I go into that calendar and I look at the lessons that I've learned and the epiphanies that I've had. And it has been an AID. It has been an aid for me. An aid. A side note, something that I realized while I was at my gig, I am not diagnosed with anything other than asthmatic bronchitis and eczema. I got dry ass skin. I'm actually experiencing some really bad dry skin here, because I have to wash my hands like all day. So something that I came to the realization of was that fuck, what was I gonna say? This was important. Higher self. Give the team back, please. Give it back. Put it back in my brain. Give me a second. The fuck was it? Talking about the calendar. Oh, the aids. The assisted things. I realized that when I'm walking around and I'm doing stuff, because I move from one room to another a lot, people would stop me in the hallway and they would tell me things to be like, hey, remember to do this, or hey, could you do this for me? And I'd be like, yeah. And I'd get back to the room and I completely forget what they said. Completely. And I was starting to get really stressed because I was like, there's just so much that I'm supposed to remember and I don't know what to do. So then when I discussed it with my spirit, I was told, take your phone with you because you're allowed to have your phone on the floor. Because the thing is that sometimes when I'm in with patients, one of the things that I do is I have the vendors who we get compression garments and stuff from. And so I contact their representatives and I'm like, hey, do you guys have this in stock? Like, I call them, can we do a custom garment? This is this person's measurements, so I actually, along with a lot of the other providers, we have our phones on us because we need to use them because we're moving around, we ain't got no tablets, we don't have stuff like that. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, just don't be stupid. The minute y'all are stupid, obviously the rule's gonna have to be made. But we kind of have to have them because we're moving throughout the hospital so frequently, and we ain't got pagers or walkies. So I decided that what I was going to start doing is when somebody would stop me and I was on my way to do something, if I'm on my way to do something, I'll very quickly put in my notes app, this is what I'm on my way to do, so that I don't forget. And then if somebody stops me, I'm like, hey, let me make a note of what you're saying. I never do anything that's private information for anybody. It's always just, when you get back to your desk, make sure you email this person because they need to know blah, 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 blah. It's made my job so much easier. And I used to be a person who was like, no, like, people who have neurospiciness, people who are struggling, like, they should struggle the same way I have struggled. I was one of those people. I was on that, I'm mad that other people are being supported, and growing up I felt like I wasn't supported, so I'm finna bitch and moan, and me, I'm mad about it. I stay mad. Like, that's where I was. And bro, if you find that you are struggling with anything, take a step back, because some stuff isn't meant to be like, some stuff, it's not about hitting the wall multiple times. Some stuff, it's about taking a step back and going, how can I make this easier for myself? What can I do? How can I give myself peace? You're not weak for doing that. You're not weak for doing that. People who say you're weak for doing that are people who really could use the help, but because they've been doing it so long and they've kind of built their whole personality and identity around not needing help, they don't think anybody else should have help. But they probably could use it. It would probably make their life a lot easier. I mean, we are a species that has evolved to create things that have made things easier for us. If that's not how we were supposed to do things, we wouldn't be doing it. So, that was a side note about how, if you are struggling with things, you are experiencing difficulties with your neurospiciness or anything else, your back hurts, your feet hurt, your legs hurt, you're struggling, think of ways. Get creative. Get fun about it. Have fun with it. What can I do to make this easier for me? I do that every day at my gig. If I run into anything and I'm like, okay, I'm tired of this, I will literally go online and I'll look it up, or I'll ask somebody and I'll be like, hey, so I want to do this. How do I do this easier? And they're like, I mean, everybody kind of has to suffer through it. I was like, it won't be me. And I will go and I will ask people. Or I'll go online and I'll look it up and I'll do research. And everything is just so much easier. And I love it. And I support anybody who does that for themselves. They said something. They're like, people who find more efficient and easy ways to do things in companies are the people who encourage the most change. Because if you have a person who's like, listen, the way my ADHD works, I cannot sit in this meeting for an hour and a half. I can't do it. I literally can't do it. So you're going to have to sum all of that up in an email. You know how much time you save doing things like that? Anyways, so, um, I don't remember where I was. I was like, side note. It's not a side note. We literally got off the highway. We are going to a completely different state right now, tolls included. Um, so yeah, the manifestation stuff, the things I mentioned, and they just started happening. So, yes, what I've decided is today I am going to go back and I'm going to look at the things that I said I wanted in videos like this so long ago, and I'm going to redo them differently. And we're going to say, it would be cool if this happened. That'd be great. That'd be great. It also doesn't have to happen in the way I think it should. So, like when I was first in that dialysis class, my thought was it would have been cool to be a nurse. I looked up how expensive nursing school is. I looked up how long nursing school is. And I was like, well, what jobs are similar to being nurses? And the job that I'm doing did not come up. But it feels similar. It gave me the feeling that I wanted. And now that I've done it, I know that I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I'm enjoying it. It's fulfilling. But there's some other things that I want to do. So, and this is something that I heard somebody on TikTok who was speaking to a room of people, and he was like, you're in the right place you need to be. Because even if you have discovered what you're doing is not what you want, that is the right place for you to want to do something so badly, and then you're doing it and you realize, I don't actually like this. That's good, because it means that you've discovered something else, that you're like, I tried this and I don't like it and I don't enjoy it, so now let's look at doing something else. And I used to be the person who believed that I had wasted a lot of time doing things. Ooh, ringing in both ears. Pay attention. I used to believe, lock it in right here. I used to believe that I was wasting time by doing things I didn't want to do. So whenever I had to make a decision on what I wanted to spend my time doing, I was often frozen in analysis paralysis because I was trying to calculate the best option. That is wasting time. That is wasting time. Actually stepping forward and doing something and then finding out, I don't really like this, is not a waste of time. That was valuable data. That is valuable information. That is a valuable experience that you might be surprised will aid you and help you in another experience that you do like. So even though I don't want to keep doing what I'm doing right now, I am now not nervous about being on the phone, because I've had to be on the phone every day for one reason or another. I'm not nervous about being on the phone and not having a written up plan because I've been doing it so much. I'm not nervous. If somebody comes in and they have an issue with me or they have a problem with me, let's talk it out. We can talk it out. I don't have a problem with conflict. I don't have a problem with not knowing something. The amount of times I've been in with patients and they ask me a question, I'm like, that's a good question. I do not have that answer for you, but I will do everything in my power to get that information. Please hold. Like, that is me every day. And if somebody's like, well, you should know this, I'm like, well, I don't, but I'm about to. I've not been asked this question before. This was not something I was asked or knew that I didn't know. That happens so much. There's so much that we don't know until it just pops up and you're like, oh, hey, wow, I didn't know that. That's crazy. That's wild. So I have learned so much. I've also learned how many people wish that they had emotional support people and don't. I believe one of the reasons I am where I am is because there are people there who manifested me into that spot. Not because I'm so great, but because what I have, they need. Support, love, a little bit of weirdness and creativity and helping you come up with things to do for yourself. I'm the type of coworker who brings flowers for people. I've done it. I'll bring snacks. I'll sit and listen. Because to me, it's not drama. It's not gossip. It's you're struggling with something. And you're looking for somebody to talk to who you know is not going to take your shit and spread it everywhere. Those people are valuable. They're far more valuable than people give them credit for. So, it's been great. It's been great. And then, I know we get an hour. I haven't yapped in so long. Give me this, please. I wasn't streaming for so long, and part of the reason I had stopped streaming was, yes, because I was not moved to stream, but then at some point I had the time and I was there and I was singing. I was like, okay, after I get out of the shower, I'm gonna stream for a couple of hours. And it was during the week, during the work week. And I could not move myself to do it. And I was like, what is this? And it was the anxiety of returning to doing something that I hadn't been doing consistently. I started feeling guilt and shame about not streaming consistently. Something that I started as a hobby that I really like. That's the point. Not to make money. It's because I enjoy it. It's because it's a part of the community. I like being a part of a community. That is why I do it. And I had all this anxiety around it. And I came back to streaming and I was like, ain't nobody gonna be in here, and that's fine. And all 5 of my OG regulars who be in there when I stream, a mixture of people I know personally in real life and people who I've met online who I've never seen in person. And they showed up. And they've showed up every time. And I was like, I really thought y'all was gonna hate me because I haven't been streaming consistently. And somebody said, girl, we could never hate you. I'm gonna show up whenever I can. Whenever I see a notification that you're live, I'm gonna be here. And that's the type of support that I've always wanted to have. And I have it. And I feel very grateful and very humbled and very blessed to have that. It's just crazy how at one point I was trying to rack up followers. I was like, I need to see more numbers. And it's crazy how we all get sucked into this idea that it's numbers that tell you your value. Because if you don't have enough followers, then what is your value? Is what you're doing that valuable if you don't have 100K followers? Yes, it is valuable. It is valuable. So, it's been great. It's been great. So today, I am going to redo, or not redo, but I guess refine what I was thinking before. So what I'm going to say now is, because I actually do believe it can happen. Oh, something else that I learned that I have to share with you. I came upon the awareness that when you want a thing and you want a feeling or you want a person or you want to go to a place, for me, I realized it is not attached to the income, to the money. It is not directly attached. I could have everything that I want. I could write down 100 things and I could have all of those things without paying a dime. And when I sat down and I got creative and I was like, I could get all of this for free. Somebody could hand me all of this. I could just wake up one morning and I've got it. People be like, that's not realistic. If I can think it. If I can think it. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then when you look, people got the things that I wanted for free and didn't pay anything. It's happened. So I was like, well, if it's happened once, it could happen again, right? So now I'm not thinking in terms of I want more money so that I can have the things. I'm completely going to take out the middleman at this point. I don't need the money. I don't need it. I want those things. That's what I care about. The feeling. So I'm going to go through those. I'm excited. 10:10 on the clock as I'm saying this. I'm excited. I'm going to go through. I'm going to look at the stuff I did. I think so. It was originally, I want to get Paid and Pampered to play. I want to move to Boston, Massachusetts. And what was the other thing? I wanted to be at peace, and I do feel far more at peace than I've ever felt before. I'm almost drunk on this shit. I'm feeling good. There were a couple others. I have to go check my journal that I have packed away in my closet. But I'm going to re-look at it. I'm going to restate some stuff, and we're going to see how this goes. I'm actually very excited because I love the patience that Spirit has with me. I'm so grateful because, girl, bruh, listen, my liege, the type of shit I would have gotten into being given some of the things I've asked for and not having the understandings I have now. Crazy. I would have been doing way too much, and also not enough at the same time. But yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do today, and then we're just gonna move from there. It's so nice being able to sit down and say, here are the things I'm struggling with. What are some ways I can work through this? I'm telling you, if you are the type of person at all who thinks about the way you think, you have a level of intelligence a lot of people do not have. It's not something that cannot be developed, it's not something that can't be trained, but self awareness is a level of like intellect that makes you a different person. Because essentially, what you're doing is you see your thoughts, you see that they are flawed, and you're able to go, that doesn't work for me. We need to change that. And your brain, because it is a computer, will automatically find ways to break that down and rebuild it better. It's crazy. When you say, I don't like that I judge people, that is why it's so important to be aware of self. To say, I do judge people. I judge people. I hella judge people. As soon as I see a person, I make an assumption. If you sit down and you really go, yeah, I don't like them, what can I do instead? Your brain, spirit, they gonna lock in to help you. They want it. They want it for you. Because odds are it's something that doesn't bring you peace. Usually the stuff that we don't like about our experience is because we're stressed. It's because we're not getting sleep. It's because our body hurts. Our legs ache. Our lower back is in pain. Our upper back is in pain. And we're like, how can I change this? What can I do? And I feel like those answers come when you listen. You know, when you like are in the silence and you're listening and you're paying attention. But also sometimes the answers that we receive are not at first obvious, right? So we're like, I don't see how that's gonna help me, and then you like throw it out the window. You're like, toss, like you let that go away. But if you want change, if you want things to be different, really not if you want, an hour and 11 minutes as I'm saying this, if you have the true desire, if you have the will and you've made it up in your mind, no, I'm gonna be different, you're gonna be different. Human will is very powerful. It's crazy. Like they be saying it in anime, they say it in movies, and we be crying in the theater, and yes, we be applauding, but we really don't internalize how incredibly powerful the human will is. You're surviving, but you've had people who were out here surviving climates they shouldn't have survived. You have people, women who've lifted cars, people who've pushed things, men who've lifted cars. You have people who've done ridiculous things, stayed up for ridiculous hours with the minimal hallucinations because they had to. You are far stronger than you know. And so many of you, if you're watching this video and you've gotten this far, you're far more locked in than you think you are. Like some days it's not gonna feel like it's not gonna feel like you're ascending. Some days you're just gonna be locked in and it's gonna feel normal. To other people, it's magical, it's crazy. How did you know this was gonna happen? How did you predict this? I'm locked in. I am literally right here with spirit. When you get there, you start experiencing superhero X-Men level shit. And a lot of people in your life are not gonna believe you. But you're not crazy. There's a bunch of us out here who are experiencing it. And we're okay with people not believing us. We're okay with people thinking we're crazy. It's just kind of the price you pay for being a super magical person, you know. And then you've got a lot of people who are just like, it's impossible. It's like, okay, sure, whatever you say. I don't feel the need to argue. But anywho, I think that's a majority of the stuff that I needed to share. I still want to go to Boston, but I'm open. I'm open to it not being Boston. I'm open to it being a place where the seasons, because that's really what it is. In Florida, we don't get season changes. We don't get the seasons here. And so I want to go to a place where there are seasons. I do like the snow. I really like the snow. I love gray weather. I love the rain. So that's why north is where I'm trying to go. It can either be north here in the US or it can be north outside of the US. I do not care. We do not care. So I'm open to that. I am surprised that my hair did this. I have discovered a new tactic that I'll be using for my hair. I'm gonna give it a week and then I'll share it with y'all at some point. Maybe on Discord or on TikTok or something. But I'm surprised this worked. I was like, we just go do this. I essentially just did my hair the night before. I've never done that with natural hair. Usually I will get up in the morning and I put all of the product in it and it keeps and it's great, but I've never pre-done it at night and then got up, and I literally just got up and took off the stuff and it just fell out like this. And I'm loving the curls. The curl pattern's eating. Okay, so I think that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope that the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, or night goes well. I may play video games today. I may not. It really just depends. Oh, no, yeah, I've got to do that stuff I was talking about. I have to redo my list of things. So I'm going to do that. I love you guys. And if you have any thoughts, ideas, put them in the comments. I am on Discord, and I have channels that are specifically for video games, and then on the Discord I also have a channel that is for spiritual stuff. It's kind of for just chatting and things like that. So if you want to pop on over, you can talk to me in real time when I'm not streaming or doing videos. I'm on there. I'm there. You just want to chat, I can make myself available. I mean, it depends, but yeah, that's what I've got. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. You are an amazing, beautiful human being. Remember, you are a human being, not a human doing, not a human making money, not a human hustling. You do not have to do any of that. If you want to do it, great. But you don't have to do any of that to be beautiful and amazing and valued. To be a part of the spiritual ecosystem. You belong here. You belong here. With us. With the collective. There is much love for you here. Alright? Alright. I think I've yapped enough. I'm very happy with how this video has gone. I might not be happy when I watch back through it. I don't edit these, but I'll watch back through it because sometimes I say shit and I'm like, ooh, I need to write that down for my meditations later. So I might do that. But anywho, if you are watching this and it is November, I hope you enjoy any time that you may get off, that you can spend with friends, that you can meditate by yourself, that you can spend with family. It's a really good time. The fall and the winter is such a great time to go internally and to focus. So I hope that you have that time, that you can do that. Make sure to get your water in. We'll drink some tea together. Get your water in. Try to get some sleep, some good sleep whenever you do go to sleep. And be authentically yourself so that you can find those people. Be authentically you, my love. Alright, that's all I got for y'all. I'll holla at you in the next one. Hopefully it won't be another month, but who knows? I think month by month may be better because it gives more of an opportunity for things to happen before I do these. But anyways, I love you guys. Have a good one. I'll holla at you later.